Hello, everybody. How are you today? I hope good. Today we have a class. So we just got done a little while ago with Halloween, but then right around the corner this month shows up Friday the 13th, and so I figured this would be. Oh, by the way, I voted. Hope you did too. It's over by now. By the time you see this, but I hope you voted. And the world may be different. Might not even be over yet. I don't know. I'm recording this before the election's done, so we'll see. But anyway, I'm going to go over Friday the 13th and the origins of it, the history behind Friday the 13th, and why it kind of became the day that it became. Because I never really knew the entire story behind it. I just knew that Friday the 13th was always scary. I was always jealous of my sister. She was born on the 13th of January. So once in a while, her birthday would fall on Friday the 13th. And I was always jealous of that because I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't know if that meant she would be in more trouble on that day, or if for some reason, since she was born on the 13th, she's got like a pass and I should hang out with her to make sure that nothing bad happens to me. But anyway, again, it's rooted in superstition. Some people believe in it very seriously. There's actually, and I'll go over it in this, there's actually a term for Friday the 13th, or people feeling that it's an unlucky day or a frightening day. And the legitimate fear of it. Some people really do have a fear of it, which at the very end will have an ironic twist on the whole thing when it comes to Friday the 13th. So let's get started. Friday the 13th, the myth, the legend, the not holiday. But some people do kind of take it that way. So, Friday the 13th. It can happen sometimes once or twice in a year. And there's no. It seems that no matter how many times such moments passes by, the dreaded day continues to inspire unease and fears of misfortune when it comes to Friday the 13th. And there's no logical reason for the occasional coincidence of any day and date. So, I mean, Friday the 13th, why? Maybe it just sounds scary. But really, it could be like Tuesday the 5th is the most dangerous day. Beware the Ides of March, March 15th. So, there are different days and things like that. But Friday the 13th is one that gets people everywhere. So, and a lot of it is created in our own mind, like you decide I'm going to be afraid of something, you're going to be afraid of something if you attribute things to that. And I'll have a story later to get more into that. But believe it or not, so there's Jane Risen, a behavior scientist at the University of Chicago, has found that superstitions can influence even non-believers. So, like me, I would say I'm a non-believer. I don't believe in hexes or anything like that. At least I don't now. But in a study, she found that people identify superstitious and non-superstitious both believe a bad outcome is more likely when they've been jinxed, such as by stating they definitely won't get into a car accident. So this is the whole thing where I know Melanie's like this, but if you're in a car driving with her, don't talk about crashing the car. That is something that she does not appreciate, that she'll actually get kind of upset with. Because she really believes that you kind of jinx the whole situation. And then if a wreck happened or if anything happens in the car, that it's your fault for even bringing it up. So don't bring it up. But a lot of people, even if, like me, you could say, oh, I mean, I'm the same way, I guess, with like the Jazz. Go Jazz is the hat right there, but do. But I don't like it when people talk about the game, or people are like, if it's an important game and somebody's in the room that's watching the game and they don't really care about the game, they're just there to yak with everybody. I always ask them to leave the room, or I leave the room and go watch the game somewhere else, because I believe that they're a bad influence on the game. And really, it's just that they're making me upset because I care so much about the game and they don't really care about it at all, which is totally fine for them. But when people really believe that something is a cue to its likelihood by just mentioning it, that sometimes people believe that it will manifest itself. So I'll tell you the one story that I had. There was a guy once who I was at a movie theater, and he was a big guy. He was kind of bothering one of my friends, my female friends. And so I went up to chat with him, and he actually turned out to be a really nice guy. I had recently gone down south to Moab in Utah, and I had bought a necklace, and it had a sun on it, and it had a little face in the sun, and it was like a silver pendant, and I had that. And, as we were talking, he kind of looked, and he saw that, and he's like, what's that? And I kind of told him, I was like, oh, yeah, I got this in Moab, I went there. And he's like, well, I just want you to know that in my culture, that we believe, in my culture and tribe that I come from, we believe that symbol of the sun is an unlucky symbol and that you shouldn't wear it. And I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, I'm just letting you know. And I was like, okay. And the weird thing is after that, like, I had bad days in a row. Every day I wore that necklace. Things just weren't going well for me. And I got so frustrated that I was like, I don't know what to do. Like, my luck is terrible. Like, everything's just kind of going badly. And I kept going back to this necklace, but I kept logically arguing with myself that there's no way. It's just a necklace. It doesn't mean anything. But then it kind of does, because it seems to be working. And finally I got to the point where I was like, and I spent money on this necklace, and I didn't grow up having much money, but I was like, you know what? And so I took it, and I smashed it. And I took it to a freeway at night, and waited till there was not very many cars on there, so it wouldn't hit anything, and I threw it over the freeway path. And then the next time I went back to Moab, I bought a moon necklace. And so that I have a tattoo of a moon right here, and it kind of reminds me of that. The moon I never had any trouble with. But that sun, but again, it's just because of the suggestion. Just that as a cue that it's possible, that it could be something. It gets into your head. It can get into your head. And this is the kind of thinking that may be more widespread on Friday the 13th. So even if people don't actually believe, just the fact that Friday the 13th exists as a known cultural element means that I certainly entertain it as a possibility that Friday the 13th, or the number 13, is a bad luck number. And so it's just the thought being out there. So that's part of the reason why, in terms of psychology, that people might actually be afraid of it. Just because you mention something to somebody, a lot of times it can be something that's very outlandish and off, and people will believe it. There was somebody who famously said once, the bigger the lie, the more people will believe it. And sadly, it can be very true. Yeah, and then also, so when otherwise unremarkable events occur on that date, we tend to notice. So, things happen every single day, and then for some reason, Friday the 13th, it's amplified. It's like, it's because it's the 13th, man. That's why this is happening. When really, a lot of horrible stuff could have happened the day before, and then you forget all about that just because it's Friday the 13th. Then you blame it on a day like, oh, it's a day. But people really do. It's a real thing. And so, but Rison's research, she also said there are ways of warding off the bad luck. So she says to perform rituals on the day. Like, if you're really afraid of that day, to perform rituals in order to ward off all the bad luck. So one thing you can do is like knock on wood. So, you find a piece of wood and you knock on it. So say somebody says something bad or something that, could happen, and you say, knock on wood, this isn't going to happen, so you knock on wood. Other people believe that throwing salt over your right shoulder will help ward off bad luck. But it has to be your right shoulder. Don't do it over the left shoulder. You do it over the left shoulder, that apparently makes it worse, from what I've heard. So over the right shoulder, and that should take care of things for that. And people really believe that these acts actually help. That, knocking on wood or throwing salt, or some people that, people believe that that really helps. And if it helps your psychology, it helps your psychology. I think deeper down, though, what we need to get to is that, it's just a day. And, it's fun that it scares people. But that's all it is. It's supposed to be fun. It's not it's not really evil or anything like that. But people believe that knocking on wood really helps. I knock on wood all the time. We find that people who jinx themselves don't think the bad outcome is especially likely if they knock down on wood. So the ritual does seem to help them manage their concern. So in the same way, being aware of a superstition may help instill a sense of order in a world of random and uncontrollable worries. So when you have rules and you know how to play by them, it always seems a lot easier. We don't do anything scary today or double check that there's enough gas in the car or whatever it might be. So some people might stay at home because of Friday the 13th, although statistically most accidents happen in the home, so that might not be the best strategy. Yeah, so, if you just don't do anything too scary, that's what some people believe is the best way, Don't double down or anything. Some people, they'll avoid doing things on Friday the 13th because they think that's just a bad day to do it. So, rooted in religion. Is Friday the 13th somewhat rooted in religion? This has been a big piece which I didn't really know about. So where does the fear of Friday the 13th come from in the first place? So they do believe that it's difficult to pin down an origin of when it actually started. But Stuart Weiss, he's a psychology professor in New London, said our fear of Friday the 13th may be rooted in religious beliefs surrounding the 13th guest at the Last Supper. So the Last Supper with Jesus, the 13th guest was Judas, who betrayed Jesus, for that. And so he was the 13th person. So that's one reason why people believe that that's why it's partially an unlucky number, is because Judas was the 13th. And the crucifixion of Jesus was on a Friday, which was known as Hangman's Day. So 13th with Judas, and then the crucifixion happening on a Friday. So those two, the date and the number kind of get caught up in there. And so the combination of those factors produce a sort of double whammy of 13 falling on an already nervous day. Some biblical scholars also believe that Eve attempted to tempt Adam with the forbidden fruit on a Friday. So there's that. And that Abel, in the Bible, again, so this is, it's rooted in Christian religious belief, apparently. But that Abel was slain by his brother Cain on Friday the 13th. So, that kind of is where it couples up when it comes to religion, at least Judeo-Christian belief, as to why Friday the 13th is a bad day. Let's see. So now this is the real fear. This part is there's a guy named Thomas Fernsler, who he is a scientist of policy science and mathematics and science education resource center at the University of Delaware in Newark. And they believe that the roots of the fear of Friday the 13th come from triskaidekaphobia. So triskaidekaphobia, deca would mean 10 technically, tri is 3. So really it's the fear of the number 13. So there is a fear of the number 13 itself. And so the number 13 suffers because of its position after the number 12. So 13 has become sort of like the black sheep in the number family in a way. Numerologists consider 12 a complete number. There are 12 months in a year, 12 signs of the zodiac, 12 gods of Olympus, 12 labors of Hercules, 12 tribes of Israel, and 12 apostles of Jesus. So there's a lot that goes along with 12. And then what happens right after 12? Then there's number 13. And the 13's association with bad luck has just to do with it being a little beyond completeness. Yes. Sorry. The number becomes restless or squirmy. So it's like I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then suddenly 13. 12 is not a teen. It stops. And then 13 just starts over this whole other thing. And it's incomplete. It's not a complete number of everything. Because it's not really a complete number. It's not 12. It's not, But then again, there are 7 deadly sins, 7 virtues as well. So, but a lot of people believe that is why. Numerology may also explain why Italians have no qualms about Friday the 13th, but fear the 17th instead. So Italians fear Friday the 17th instead. The Roman numeral XVII, which is 17, can be rearranged to spell VIXI, which translated from the Latin means my life is over. So, people, again, it has to do with the number. What does the number have to represent? But again, 13, for some people, they believe that it is in a precarious place as it goes up. It just suddenly you're at 13. It's not a complete number. It's just kind of there. Whereas 14, more complete, you can kind of go on from there. But 13 is not really a complete number. Costly coincidence. Arbitrary though they may be, superstitions like fear of ladders, black cats, or unlucky numbers are incredibly persistent. A lot of people believe in these things. Once they are in the culture, we tend to honor them. You feel like if you're going to ignore it, you are tempting fate. So, a lot of people do that. When I've seen people with black cats walking by, they'll actually turn the other direction. People get really scared if they break a mirror. They believe that it's 7 years of bad luck. Or, I remember walking down the street and, trying to avoid stepping on cracks because they used to say, step on a crack, break your mother's back. I remember the first day I heard that, I was like, I think I stepped on a bunch of cracks back there. Why didn't anybody tell me about this? Now I go home, and I got to make sure my mom's okay. Which she was fine. And then there were days where I was mad at her, so I stepped on all the cracks. But, I guess I'm a bad son. Some people, whether by determination or necessity, grit their teeth and nervously get through the day. Others really do act differently on Friday the 13th. So some people really will. They'll take the day off of work. They believe something's going to happen that day. People might refuse to travel, so go anywhere, buy a house, or act on a hot stock tip. And these inactions can considerably and noticeably slow economic activity, according to a folklore historian and founder of the Stress Management Center and Phobia Institute, who spoke with National Geographic in 2013. So, it's interesting that Friday the 13th can actually have economic repercussions. And because of the fear of it, the irony is about to come full swing. So it's been estimated that 800 or 900 million US dollars are lost in business on this day because people will not fly or do business they normally would do. Because it's Friday the 13th. Doesn't matter what month, people will rearrange their schedule. I don't even remember when it happens. People usually have to point it out to me. I just noticed since I was making the schedule that this was on there. This is why I decided to do this. So here's the irony of the whole thing with Friday the 13th. So ironically, people heeding their superstitions, fears may be passing up a chance to spend the day in a slightly less dangerous world. So a 2008 study revealed that fewer traffic accidents occur on Friday the 13th than on other Fridays. Reports of fire and theft also dropped, the study found. So soon enough, Friday the 13th will end, and even the most superstitious among us can rest easy, at least until the next one. But that's the irony of the whole thing, is because people are so afraid of Friday the 13th that they don't go out and they don't go do things. So statistically speaking, it's actually safer for you to be out on Friday the 13th because so many other people are staying in. So a lot less accidents. It's actually probably one of the safest days during the year. But because we've made it so scary, we kind of chalk everything up. Oh, it must be because it's Friday the 13th. It must be because of this. It must be because of this. When really, it's just a day. Or is it? It's up to you to decide. I believe it's just a day. But at the same time, I could be wrong. Maybe it really is rooted in evil or unluckiness. And we should be knocking on wood and tossing salt. Anyway, happy Friday the 13th. I hope it finds you well. And yeah, once the pandemic's over, I hope you can get out and actually enjoy this day because it really is just a day. Okay. Miss y'all. Talk to you soon.